So I think we can all agree MERC has had a bit of a mare these past 2 seasons. I know, not exactly the most controversial opinion. The year has been inundated with MERC back, MERC fell off, and when will MERC stop sandbagging articles, with just about every single upturn in form prompting a media frenzy for those sweet clicks. However, it never really did get better, did it? Not in a substantial way anyway, and certainly not in a way that the Brackley team will be happy with, because after all, a partial recovery does not equate a full return to health, and it seems like the sickness may well be due to continue at Mercedes into the new season. Want to know why doubt has been sown in the team? It's even seeped into the most headstrong of people, so just how can Mercedes look to rehabilitate their form into the new season? And stick around to the end, because Helmut Marko has laid down the gauntlet for next year, and if what the advisor has said is to be believed, then we might as well just hand Max the trophy now. In sport, it's widely acknowledged that if you don't commit into something 100%, then you're likely to get hurt. This is true whether you're tackling in rugby or playing lawn bowls. A lack of conviction in your quest to be the best is only going to point your form in one direction, and that's downwards. F1 is particularly sensitive to this, but in ways that may not seem apparent if you only consider when the helmets come on, but rather the mentality surrounding your very being in the sport long before the lights go out. Well, in a recent interview, Lewis Hamilton, someone who we just assume has the killer instinct and winner's mentality at all times, has revealed that he had been struggling with feeling confident about his place in the sport, saying, "Ultimately, when you have difficult seasons like this, there are always going to be moments when you're like, is it me or is it the car? Do you still have it? Has it gone? Because you're missing that, you know, when the magic happens, when everything comes together, the car and you, and that spark, it's extraordinary, and that's what you're in the search for. I'm only human. If anyone in the world tells you they don't have those things, they're in denial. We're all human beings." While he would later go on to say that he has been building himself back up throughout the season to where he believes he should be, this interview earlier in the season seems to demonstrate the cracks that may be vulnerable in the 7-time champion now that he is no longer at the top of the table as he once was. While we don't doubt that Hamilton is still pushing and has the capability to win races again, hell, he gave it a good go when the stars aligned for him this season, the fact that this kind of outlook seems to be appearing from Hamilton more often has us thinking, just how much more of this will he put himself through? I mean, just look at the final media pen session of the season. Hamilton looked entirely dejected and almost appeared defeated after an incredibly tough weekend in which his teammate played the main part in securing his team's constructors position. However, in an interview following the weekend with BBC Sports, Hamilton made it clear he is not ready to bow out just yet, which, to be fair, we wouldn't expect him to be, having signed a contract for next year at Mercedes, with Lewis having this to say. "I do believe we have a North Star now, which I don't think we've had for 2 years, but still, getting there is not a straight line, and there were just certain things, decisions that have been made that just left you blocked at the end of the road, and you can't do anything because of the cost cap and all of these different things. So having something to work towards will definitely help, especially with Hamilton's indication that something has changed which will allow better decisions to be made. It's clear he didn't feel listened to by or understand the workings of Mike Elliott, so perhaps Hamilton is seeing more at the trackside to believe in and now has more faith back at the factory with Elliott no longer being on the scene." When talking about the team's attitude towards last season, as well as expanding on the Mike Elliott-led issues that he believes compromised the entire season by making them play catch-up, Hamilton said, "Having the experience of the previous year, I just applied myself in terms of digging down, sitting with the guys. We were having much better meetings. I was able to stay a lot more positive during the year and be like, it's going to be a long season, but let's not give up. Let's keep pushing towards getting the maximum out of the car, whatever that may be. I think for this year they thought the fundamentals are good and we just have to go here. And it was not the case. That was why I was frustrated in February, because they hadn't made the changes I had asked for." Hamilton would go on to say that the confidence in the team was massively rocked last season, even saying that while he has hope, he doesn't know if both himself and the team will be able to deliver, saying, "I think we understand the car so much better. They have developed great tools in the background, so naturally I'm hopeful, but I'm not going to hold my breath. You can imagine they are also nervous of making too big a change and it being the wrong one. And we have higher targets than ever before because we've got a massive gap to close. That makes it really tricky. Team boss Toto Wolff showed confidence in a recent interview that his team can be the one to break the monotony of the sport in recent seasons, but didn't make claims the next year would be the year that they'd break it, opting for a wider time frame, saying, "Of course there is a risk with a particular race, people say, I know in advance the result, as we had for years with Lewis, but we just have to do better, and I don't want to wait until 2026 with that." Coming off a season with the team's lowest point total in a decade and first season without a win since 2011, it's certainly going to take a Herculean effort from the team to amass any kind of competition for the title next year, but in spite of Hamilton's words, we're not foolhardy enough to count the 8 times Constructors' champions out of it before the first laps of testing have been run, especially with the extensive changes set to be taken out on the W15, which according to Toto will basically be a new car rather than an improved concept. I mean, literally, there's almost every component that's being changed because only by doing that, I think we have a chance. Now this to us sounds incredibly kill or cure, and the Mercedes boss would agree, saying, "We could get it wrong also, so between not gaining what we expect, catching up, and making a big step and competing in the front, everything is possible." So regardless of whether it does kill the team's chances at a title challenge or cure the confidence-killing rot that seems to be within the team, Helmut Marko has put out a pretty chilling statement that does not bode well for any of the teams on the grid not called Red Bull. Because having the car to compete is one thing, but when a driver just hits a level which is unachievable for even the most skilled and experienced drivers to compete with, well then, what then? In all areas, it's in his absolute will to win. He can go to extremes in any situation. As soon as he learns that there might be a penalty for an instant, he increases his lead by 10 seconds. He simply instantly gains a second per lap, and he does that cleanly and with ease. He is decisive in terms of tyre management. Max can drive incredibly hard and at the limit without overloading his tyres. He almost reads the tyres. That was again the case during qualifying in Abu Dhabi, in which he again went a step further than everyone expected. That's why I think we haven't reached our peak yet. The concerning thing is, Max this season didn't even appear to stretch himself when it comes to how hard he had to race. Yeah, sure, once or twice a car finished within 5 seconds of the 3-time world champion, but even after that race, he'd just say, "Oh, that was fun," as if the winning part was a mere formality, with only incredibly specific track conditions or layouts not suiting the car really standing in the Dutchman's way. However, in the background of all of this, will we won't we by Mercedes, and the ramblings of an old man, a team is working to usurp the champion's throne as well as take the runners-up sponsors, with Lando Norris claiming that the McLaren team are nearly at the position to at least give Red Bull a run for their money, with the Brit saying, "Their car is phenomenal, Red Bull are doing an amazing job as they have done the last few years, so for anyone to catch them is going to be a massive step. They're not just quicker in pace, they're a lot better with degradation, and Max is one of the best drivers, so it's a tough combination to beat. But I feel we're almost getting what we need to give it a chance."